y'all, Melissa here with you today, and today we're going to be talking about pinking shears. Pinking shears are used for edge finishing, and the idea is that they will help keep fabric edges from fraying. They can be a very simple way to do a seam finish inside a garment, but does it really work? Let's talk about it. To understand the theory behind why pinking shears can be helpful, you first need to remember your fabric grain. So fabric that is woven has threads that run parallel to the selvage edges. It has threads that run perpendicular to the selvage edges. And if you go on a 45-degree angle, that is the bias. A pinking shear has a bunch of angular teeth on it, and the idea is that this is making a bunch of little bias cuts on your fabric, and that will help keep the fabric from fraying. To use pinking shears, you simply line them up on the edge of your fabric and cut. And then you will line up the bumps with the previous cut and continue. And that will give you this peaked triangles all along the edge that are harder to fray than a straight edge. So on a straight edge, the idea is you can pull out a thread and it will go all the way across. On these pinked edges, if you pull out any threads, they're only going to be able to go as far as that pinked cut, so they should prevent fraying. If you don't like using the pinking shears, they also have pinking rotary blades, and those you just roll right along the edge of the fabric. And it can also create that pinked triangular edge. Now, do pinking shears actually help prevent fraying? Yes and no. It kind of depends on the fabric you're using. First of all, these are never useful on knit fabrics. In fact, a lot of times you'll end up really frustrated because the blade will just chew on the knit fabric and it'll make holes but not actual cuts. These are designed for woven fabric because woven fabric frays. Knit fabric, stretch fabric is constructed differently, so it doesn't fray in the same way a woven fabric can. Pinking shears and pinking blades work best with tightly woven fabrics. So here are examples of quilting cotton, 100% silk, rayon challis, and a linen rayon blend. And you can see on all of these, on two sides, the cross grain and the straight grain, I pinked the edges. And all of them, with the exception of the linen rayon blend, did get those pinked edges, the little mountain peaks. The rayon linen blend was much harder to pink, so that one, they're a little frayed looking already before I washed it. So then I took all of these samples and I washed them. And here is what they look like now. And I'm again gonna move to a close-up here so that you can see the pinked edges versus the non-pinked ones. So on the linen piece, you can't even tell which edges were pinked and which were not. It did not prevent fraying at all. And notice that this is a more loosely woven fabric, and that is not the kind that pinking is designed to help. Now the rayon challis is a little more tightly woven, but not quite as tightly woven, not as many threads per inch as the quilting cotton or the silk. So the pinking did help on that one a little bit. Especially on the cross grain edge, there was a lot less fraying on the pinked edge than on the non-pinked cross grain edge. The quilting cotton and the silk though, you can still see kind of the wavy edge of the peaks and how that was preventing fraying on those two fabrics. And I'm gonna zoom in on both the non-pinked edges on the silk and on the quilting cotton, and you can see it frayed a whole lot more than the pinked edges. So, pinking shears can be useful for tightly woven fabrics to quickly finish the inside of a seam allowance. They have been used for a long time. I have vintage garments that have pinked edges on the inside that have been washed lots of times since then, and they're not frayed to the point like that rayon linen blend that I showed you. But if you're using a looser woven fabric, if you're using a knit fabric, this is not the best way to finish your raw edges because it's still gonna fray. So check out this playlist if you want to see some other seam finishes that you can do that are going to involve some sewing where pinking does not, but they will also finish your edges to help prevent more fraying.